And then the two questions, which we don't need to repeat because they're in the notes, that we're going to ask every candidate. That's where you guys are coming from.
Yeah,
right.
Now I'll talk to people who probably disagree and say you guys are nuts, that's fine.
They may,
but I just want to make sure.
A lot of people would say David was nuts to go against Goliath.
Sure.
A lot of people would say that Gideon was a fool to go against the Amalekites. Okay, or the Midianites.
You said a lot of people say David was nuts to go against.
Yeah, they would have. Yeah, I mean, they would have, because Martin Luther would have been considered nuts to go against the entire Roman Catholic Church during the Reformation. But his philosophy was one with God is a majority.
But
God uses a minority to accomplish great things, and a faithful minority doing God's will, we can accomplish. Our America was founded on a group of people who fought the entire British Army. And were successful.
Martin Luther came along at a time of the rise of states and German princes who backed him. He had powerful allies. It was very, what he did was very dangerous.
Do you think they were bigger than the Roman Catholic Church?
No.
As long as he stayed in Germany, they were.
Well, I would say this: the Reformation.
It was a risk,
sure.
but he wasn't. He had some powerful backers.
We believe that God can protect this movement and the people in the movement and the purposes of this movement if it is His will, and we're called to be faithful in this day. And I will say, like Daniel, you may kill me. This furnace may be my end, but if God wants me out of this, He can get me out of it. If God wants to make this successful, He can make it successful.
Okay.
And that's our hope.
And we've already been successful. We've already brought up the topic, even in the small toe in the water that we've done. This is a topic which is coming across the nation, so we're already successful. It's a matter of the Creator will bless us as we're faithful, and will bring us a fantastic. We're only just beginning in our success. We've got a fantastic amount that we're going to do to change the cultural tide of our nation.
But I want to go back and answer. So now once I've done that, I got to go back and do this. But I asked you earlier about Charlottesville, and you said basically the violence was provoked by the left. And I asked you about some of the kind of Jews will not replace us that some of the people on the right were chanting. There was some pretty, but you didn't denounce that. That was
there's Joe Sixpack who marches to the parades. They can have all kinds of things which.
But this was a lot of this was the main parade. The main marchers were saying this.
Well, the main counterparts, the people who attacked them were saying, "What, kill police or fill in the blank, whatever they did," attacking, say the marchers who had a permit. So I've never seen an article which said, those people who attacked the marchers with a permit. They said a lot of rotten rat things. I've never heard that thing.
Me neither.
I've only heard the people who had permit said you can have one guy through the parade say, "Oh, Jews do this or that, the other thing." Oh, that's pounced on it.
It wasn't one guy. I mean,
well, whether it's one or 10.
It wasn't 10. It was more like it seemed like the majority of the marchers were saying that. That kind of
let's say that it's the majority. Again, last thing I heard, ideally, free speech in America, so people can say whatever they want, and they could say that there, and they had a perfect right to say it, but they're attacked. They didn't even have to say that. They would be attacked, fill in the blank, whatever they said. If they said Jews are the greatest people in the world, or any other group of the greatest people in the world, they were guaranteed to be attacked by Antifa, because they would be switched around to say they were so-called right-wing or nationalist. Nationalist means people who love their country. I mean, I would say George Washington was a nationalist. He loved the country, and he wanted to support the country. Just like a French guy is a nationalist to support France, and an Eskimo is wherever the Eskimo nation is, he's a nationalist in Eskimo parlance. But suddenly the word, because of this social engineering, the language is controlled. And along with that language, I think I want to reiterate a couple things which I think we discussed previously. The control of language is a weapon of war, and we need to take back the language. So there is no such thing as gay. It is a marketing, advertising, especially social engineering term. The proper word is sodomite. And there's no such thing as...
If you're a woman?
Well, I'll use it in whatever way. For the broad term, using it for men right now, sodomite. There's no such thing as gay, though. Lesbian would be the more proper term for their interactions. But there's no such thing as gay because that is social engineering. Because the whole idea, and there's no such thing as transgender. No. That is a pretense. It doesn't exist. There's only people who pretend to be or even mutilate themselves in the opposite sex. But this is part of the social engineering where every day for years and years and years on all broadcasts, all bandwidths, we're told LGBT. Everything about it is sunny, and well, the word gay implies happiness and all kinds of fun and all that stuff. And it's a death lifestyle.
It's a painful lifestyle.
Biologically, the homosexual community has more disease per capita than any separate from AIDS.
Well, and separate from that, violence, Don.
But
my son has been beat up twice.
But my editor's telling me to, and a lot of this information's on your website.
Okay.
I mean it is.
Great.
It's not?
Oh, that's great. I forget everything that's on my website.
It's on your website.
It's on
just print it out.
You haven't been there for a long time.
Yes.
You have time.
I'd make a plea that you would, in the article as you write it, is to present us in the kind of light that you would want us to present you.
Sure. And
not just try to fuel a fire on some misperceptions. We've tried to be honest with you and tell you who we are, but this kind of ideology that is not understood in the main anyhow, we've already got gasoline thrown on a fire, presenting us as a bunch of white supremacists and stuff, and this is just
I think the Bee's written a couple stories. They haven't called you white supremacists.
No, but that's what's going on. That's what's being bred in the community. And I'm just saying you have a real powerful tool here to set the record straight and not to add to that misperception. I'm just pleading with you that you would treat us in the article like you would want us to speak about.
And one clarification, not having fully read all the articles, but presuming you guys are 100% neutral, straight down the line. But the one person that I've noticed who hasn't been neutral is the council lady, Christy Liu. She made commentary on an early CBS interview. She was filmed where she said, well, when I read about white and white supremacists, that was racism, blah, blah, blah. And typically, just like in Charlottesville, going back to there, if to make an allowance, to make it acceptable for Antifa or any other clowns to attack the peaceful demonstrators, you say, oh, they're racist, they're white supremacists. And that is a justification to say for the violent people to attack them, and then for the people who are attacked to be blamed as a cause for the violence. And so the sanitized, like these angels over here, they're throwing rocks and literal flamethrowers at the peaceful people, and it's the peaceful people, it's their fault. So what I'm saying is that Christy Liu, by her comments, was making throwing chum in the water like the sharks to make it grease the skids for Antifa to say, hey, we're here to combat white racism and white superiority and these racist bigots. So by her comments, she opened it up.
She did. Yeah,
she could have said, well, I disagree or whatever, but then she adds on the chum in the water.
So are you saying you want a peaceful event?
Absolutely. We are Joe and Jane peaceful.
So should I assume that, or should I ask you?
No, you should always ask. Well, I would presume. You might as well clarify it. We are Joe and Jane peaceful all the way. Even the Prod Boys. That is another way that we're being attacked by the Prod Boys. I know them. I am one. It's a Christian group. Is dedicated to defending all people. There's no way we were going to go out and attack people. We will defend ourselves if and when we are attacked. But just we are there for a peaceful demonstration, our First Amendment rights.
And you know, another thing on that, all of June was Gay Pride Month. You got to know that. Everywhere I went, I saw people dressed in drag. I turn on the radio every morning because I'm a radio addict. That's my addiction, the radio. And it doesn't matter if it's KFIV or if it's Christian radio, because I'm addicted to both, okay, almost equally. Political, it doesn't matter if it's religious. All I heard was gay pride, gay pride, gay pride, gay pride.
Social engineering.
It's okay, but what did I do? What did I say? How did I speak out? It's none of my concern. They have every right to go out and celebrate for a whole month their perversion. They have that right. I disagree with it. They have that right. What do I care? What's it to me? But the minute we said we would like to have a church service in the park, again, give honor to our Creator and His created order, His purposes for our life, and express our gratitude for living in the country that brought blessings of liberty to the nations, that would be America. And of course, we all know these men who came over were European of descent, and they gave us this beautiful nation, and all hell breaks loose. Why? It's crazy.
And why do people automatically call us racist? Again, I'd say it's the social engineering term, which is, as Pastor Butch has said, in the normal view of 40, 50 years ago, everything we're saying is rock solid mainstream. It's like just like breathing to America.
It was like
so the culture's changed underneath.
Oh, totally. The air has changed.
All in the name of tolerate us and our aberrant and perverted views, and we'll all get along. And now it's like, you guys, we're not going to tolerate you and what used to be.
It's a one-way street.
Yeah.
We tolerate them. They don't tolerate us.
It's hysterical, because I told the gal that was interviewing me the other day, you can go and you can tear down every statue of every white male that established this country. You can burn it down. You can take out Washington's church. You can do it all. And in the end, guess what? It's still the reality. You might not have the markers, but it's still the reality. History is history. It's his story. That's what it is. His story. Not our story. His story. Whose story? God's story. Of what? Of liberty to the nations. Not America. All the nations. The Chinese. I learned from a Chinese professor these very things. And she said, in America, it's our story. In my country, China, we have a history. We have a history of China. The difference is it's not beautiful, and we don't enjoy the blessings of liberty.
Thank you for your
Thank you. Thank you.
What church are you in?
Oak Hill Orthodox Presbyterian Church.
Orthodox. Oh yeah, that's right. It's at OPC. I knew I'd get it wrong. I told them, you better ask him. I keep forgetting.
Okay. Oak Hill Orthodox Presbyterian Church.
In Sonora?
Correct.
Makes me want to rethink my
Your
Presbyterian
experience.
my experience. Oh, I have experiences everywhere.
Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Oh, thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you very much.